What's up, everyone? So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how to start a Turo business. So doing your initial research, your initial market analysis and all that, and trying to find, can I make money on Turo? So here's what you want to do. So for those that are interested in Turo, what you want to do is you want to first determine, based on where you're at, what car would do pretty good in your area. Sorry, I got the sun in my eye. What car would do good in your area? Meaning, you know, do you live in Colorado, where maybe foreigners are going to do great there? Jeeps, possibly, Wranglers, you know, more 4x4 cars. Do you live in, you know, Southern California, where, you know, maybe convertibles will do good? So those are the types of things you want to think about. And, you know, if you live in an area where you get a lot of, like, you know, when the weather gets cold, snow and all that, maybe having a vehicle like a Corvette might not be a good option, because it's probably not going to rent out from November to maybe even October to March, February, March. So you don't want to get a car that'll sit there for all that time. Maybe get a booking, but it might not be a good car for your area to make money year round. So that's what you want to think about. You also want to consider, okay, for example, me here in Phoenix, I got a convertible. I recently got a convertible, and I got a regular BMW. I'm thinking about adding a Challenger, but the thing too that you want to think about is, you know, when someone rents a vehicle like that, how are they going to treat it? You know, and that's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't want to get a sports car, like even a Corvette, like, as much as, you know, it'll make, but people that rent those cars, they want to go like 100, 120 miles per hour, which is pretty dangerous and reckless. So that's why, you know, although I want to get a Challenger, but that's what has me hesitating. So you also want to think about that. You want to think about the risk. Now, one thing here too is, if you live in, say, you know, Southern California, maybe even a minivan will do good. Or like if you live in the Orlando area, a minivan might do good. An SUV like a Tahoe might do good, because, you know, you're going to have families traveling to those areas. And that's another thing you want to think about too. Like, if you do get a vehicle like that, you know, you may want to get a four-wheel drive. Make sure it's a four-wheel drive, and that way, you know, and you could, I don't know if it'll show up on your listing when you put the VIN number, if it'll show that it's a 4x4, but if you do get one in your area, you want to make sure that that's one of your first things that you put in your description, one of the first couple sentences, to emphasize that, hey, you know what, this is a four-wheel drive, and, you know, it gives people confidence. Okay, if we're stuck in snow, you know, we got four wheels spinning, we might be in good shape. So those are the types of things you want to initially think about when you're thinking about starting Turo. What type of car would I, you know, want? You ask yourself rhetorically, what vehicle would I want if I'm traveling here? And that pretty much will help you narrow down your search in terms of cars. So that's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is, all right, well, now I have my options. I have a Sienna in mind. I have a 4Runner in mind, I have whatever your line of cars are. The next thing you want to do is see how many of those vehicles are already in your area. So the way to do that is when you search as a guest, as if you're renting one, you want to search pretty far out, like two to 3 months out, because if you search, for next week, well, there's a good chance you're not going to see a lot of the cars because they may be rented out. So, make sure you're careful when you're searching to not search for like next week's dates, because you're going to look at it and be like, oh, there's only 2 vans. Wow, and then next thing you know, you buy the vehicle and then you see there's like 12 of them. It's like, where do these vehicles come from? So you want to search at least 2 to 3 months out, just to make sure that you're seeing all the vehicles in your area. So that's the second thing that you want to do. See how many there are. And then if there aren't many, or if you're like, hey, you know what, this might be a car that'll work for me, what you want to do then is see, okay, well, how much are these cars renting out for? And if they're renting out at a good price point, say $100, $120, $140 a day, at that point you could say, all right, well, this car might work. And then also look at how many trips that vehicle has, and look at the reviews to get an idea of when that host started doing Turo for that vehicle. Look at their reviews, not only the review frequency, which is important, the dates of when they got the reviews, but also you want to look at when their first review came. So that'll kind of give you a general idea of when they got into it with that vehicle. And then you'll see from there you'll see how frequently the vehicle got rented out. So that's another thing you want to do. And then, so if that box is checked, you're like, okay, that looks good too. Now what? Now you're gonna look for a vehicle. You're gonna look for that vehicle. And what my recommendation is, if you're getting a vehicle that's somewhat, like a cool car, like a Charger, Challenger, try to get like a different color. Stay away from the red, black, white. Try to get something that'll pop out, like like a nice blue, like a baby blue, or like a unique color, one that will pop out, because when you take your photos, you want that to catch your guest's eye. So that'd be my recommendation. But once you determine, okay, I'm gonna go with this type of vehicle, start looking for those vehicles and see what their price points are. Now, if you're gonna buy a new one, a used one, see what the price is. And now in your mind, you already know, okay, well, these hosts are renting this for, say, for example, $100 a day. Okay, and now you have an idea, like, okay, if it rents out for 3 weekends out of the month, say, 4 days a week, say 12 days in the month, for example, it rents out, okay, and it's $100, so it's $1,200. Now, don't forget, depending on what plan you're on or will be on, you're not going to get that full $100. For example, with me, I'm on a 75 plan, which means if I'm renting a car that's $100 a day, I take in $75. Turo takes $25. So you make sure you're calculating that in your pricing. So it's 12 days times $75 a day, whatever that gives you. Okay, now what's your monthly gonna look like for this car, a 2019 whatever Sienna? And there's obviously auto loan calculators that will help you figure out, okay, so this car is going to be a $670 payment, thereabouts, between $650 and $700. I can easily probably clear $900,000. So you want to, of course, we're in this business to make money. So you don't want to break even, and you want to go as far away from breaking even as possible. Meaning, you don't want to make a $200 profit doing Turo. It's probably not worth it, honestly, for $200 a month, $300 a month. Now there may be slow months where you're gonna make that, and on a slow month you'll take it. But for the most part, you want to make sure that if your payments, say $700, that car is bringing at least $1,200. So where you're clearing $500 a month, that might be a good number where you're making enough money where what you're doing, the service you're providing, the cleaning that you're doing for the vehicles between trips, it's worth the $500 a month for you. Or it may not be, depending on where you're at and what your goals are. So that'd be the third thing. You want to look for that specific car, and then see what price points they're at and what your monthly would be. And don't forget there's insurance too. So you're gonna have to put it on your own policy, so that way when you're driving it, now the car is registered to you, so you want to make sure you have insurance on the vehicle, so that way you don't get in trouble with the state, or if you're driving it for your own personal use. So those are that's the thing you also want to make sure you factor into your numbers, into your calculations. So you find a car, all right, and then if the numbers make sense, then you're gonna start searching for that vehicle. Let's say you determine a Toyota Sienna, for example. I wouldn't buy one right away, and the site that unless you find a great deal, but the site that I use whenever I'm searching for cars is Car Gurus. So I like that site only because what it does is it shows you if you're getting a good deal, a fair deal, a great deal. So of course you always want to get one that's a great deal, and by far, where it's priced, because it'll show on Car Gurus if a vehicle, let's say it's selling for $33,000, and if it says $4,500 below market price or something along those lines, that's a pretty good deal. If you can find something like that. So that's another thing you want to do. Make sure that you don't get one that's $1,000 or $2,000 priced under the fair market value. You want to get one that gives you a good buffer, because remember, these vehicles are going to be driven a lot more than if you were driving it, and there's going to be a lot of wear and tear, a lot of mileage, a lot of usage, and you don't want that. You don't want to be upside down in that vehicle, or at least not as much. You want to come in. Getting the right price is important. Don't jump into it thinking, oh, this car's going to do great, which it may be doing great, but then when you're trying to get out of it, it's going to be a nightmare, because you're going to be way upside down on that vehicle. So make sure that you're getting it at the right deal, and make sure that if it doesn't go out, that if you have to come out of pocket, that you have that covered. So you can't assume that, hey, it's going to rent out, I'm not going to worry about it. Now, for the most part, I've been doing this for a year and a half now. I've never paid out of pocket for any of my vehicles, but I've been fortunate. But at the same time, you want to make sure that, again, if you do need to pay out of pocket, that you can handle it. So that's another key thing. The last thing you really want to do is give away your car for cheap on Turo, because what's going to happen is you're going to get the wrong renter, and they're not going to treat your car the way you would want them to treat it, and you're going to run into problems. You're going to have claims, and your car's going to sit in the shop for 3 weeks not making money. Meanwhile, you got to make that payment. So you make sure you get the vehicle at the right price, so that way you're not like trying to stay consistent with getting bookings for like $55 when your car should be getting $80 a day or more. So that's what you want to do. You make sure that you're getting it at the right deal. Make sure it checks all those boxes. And yeah, from there, if you guys have any questions, any feedback, leave it in the comments below. And good luck, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.